Good morning. Thanks for joining today's webinar for a feature preview of the Supportworks mobile app. Your presenters today are Ehsan Shani and Dave Hodgen. Delegate audio will be muted during the presentation. If you have any questions, please type them into the GoToWebinar questions facility on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. I'll now pass you over to Ehsan.
Hi everyone, my name is Ehsan. Today we will be looking at the Supportworks mobile app. For those of you who joined us in March for a preview of the Supportworks mobile app before the sort of features that it may have involved. Since then, we have obviously added a few features and looked into getting very close to releasing the apps in both the Apple Store and the Android Store. So I will start off by going through some of the features of this app, Supportworks mobile app, and Dave Hodgen, he's sitting right next to me, will also address any questions that may come up from this. So as mentioned before, it's available on the App Store and the Android Play Store. The thing to have in mind is that this app, the prerequisites of this app is to have Supportworks version 8.1, which is available, I believe, and ITSM Enterprise 4.1. So those are the very prerequisites to have in mind. And yes, so just to very quickly before we look at this is we will soon be hosting an instance on our cloud environment for anybody who's interested to undertake this, to have a play around with a mobile app. We'll have an announcement very soon. So there are a couple of areas that we focused on this initial release, on this initial view of the Supportworks mobile app. Essentially, the mobile app is split into two data management areas. The first area is the ability to view customers, organizations, and configuration database data, related data. And the second area is looking at the call management, which is of the most popular feature of the ITSM application. So those are the two areas that we focused on for general availability and the beta version. So I will now. I think what would be best is to open the app and have a quick play around with it. So just before I start looking at the app, I just wanted to let everybody know that what I have here is an Apple emulator. So it's a very close representation of the real app. So if you do notice any, if it is a little bit slow or anything as such, it's only because this is running on an actual platform, on a Mac platform rather than an actual phone. So when you open the app, this is the first window that you're faced with. We have a menu on the top left-hand side, which essentially is where you begin to look into this app. As you can see, we have a button. The only button available here, two buttons available. One is to open the login script, and the second one is to view some details about Supportworks. Before I go into the area to log in, I will click on About Supportworks, where you get links and information to our various portals within Homebuild. You also have the option to submit a feedback to us. Anything that you would like to rate, would like to comment about the app, can be submitted via this form. So we get to the exciting part of all this and open the login page. So there are three fields that are required for logging in. This is very similar to how to the credentials that you have to use to log into Supportworks client. So this is no different. About the server, this is a particular server that I am using. Just to make a note that once when you download the app and use it for the very first time, the server and the analyst ID credentials are actually saved in your mobile. So the next time you open the app, you don't actually have to type them all over again. The only field that you would have to type in is password. So I'll go ahead and authenticate myself. If you are successfully logged in, you get a pop-up as you saw now. If you don't, if for any reason we couldn't log in, you get a different pop-up, and you are prompted back straight to the login page. So the menu on the top left-hand side, as I discussed before, there are two areas. We have the search or the data management area, and the second part is the call management area. So I will start off with the data management area and my customers list. As you can see in here, I can scroll through a list of customers that I have. So I have a number of customers within my system. I'm able to scroll through them, and a feature that was added since the last time we previewed this app, which was in March, is the ability to search. So in this instance, I will be searching for one of my contacts, Lewis Hamilton. Brilliant. I have the option to click on the actual contact and view more details. In this instance, well, for this currently we have first name, full name, customer ID, main site, and last name previewed for this particular contact. What I just wanted to quickly make note of, this will actually apply to the call manager area as well, is that the columns that are displayed within this view can all be configured through your data dictionary. So if I just take you guys back up a level, essentially these two areas are all defined and configured within the data dictionary. So you can actually rename my incidents to whatever you prefer, or my problems, or my service request, or any one of these. So these labels are fully configurable through your data dictionary. We obviously provide a set of configuration out of the box, which is what this is. This is an out of the box configuration, and as I mentioned, you can actually configure if you would like to have more fields displayed within your view, or if you would like to remove a number of fields that you wouldn't want in this view, you can actually configure all that within a data dictionary. So that's on the plus side. So I have gone through viewing a customer record. As I mentioned before, you can scroll through and find various contacts. This is a very similar view to what we have within organizations, and for currently the out of the box view has organization and organization ID. But as I mentioned before, it is very easy and simple for us to add more columns to this. And very similar to the configuration database. I mean, this is one of the features that we believe in ITSM administrations and users are concerned with. So these are a list of all my configuration items. So we've kind of covered this area, and as I mentioned, each one of these forms have a search option. So that makes it a lot easier to makes it user friendly. So the next area that I want to look at is call management, and to very start, we'll click on my incidents. So again, very similar, a scroll bar. So within a phone, you would actually scroll down, and if you pull it down, you will get to reload your list. So that's another feature. That was added. So I will open this particular incident here, which is when is England's first football friendly game. So that's very interesting. I'll open my incident. I have again, a number of columns are displayed within here. So, I might be interested to see who the customer is, escalation, condition, and any other information that the service desk or a support analyst would require in order to review this incident. So what we've actually done is on this left-hand side, again, if I click back on my incidents, I go back to all the incidents that I have. But what we thought would be very interesting is to add the option to view your call diary. So if you're actually using your mobile phone, if you actually scroll to the right hand side, you get list of all the call diaries within this request as you get when you open this request in the Supportworks client. So with a timestamp and a call diary uh, that's displayed in order of date and time. Of course, you can see for this example at the top uh, that my text is gone off the screen a little bit. So how do I view the rest of it? You simply click on it and you get a new option to view a call diary. Again, this is very similar to the full client, whereby you double click on a call diary and it opens a new pop up displaying you full details of the actual call diary update. So once when I'm done here, I can go back to my incidents and you get to see a very similar view to you get a very similar view in my problems, service requests, and my change requests. I mean, in this particular example, I don't actually have any service requests. So we have covered incidents at this point. The other area that we wanted to look at is the ability to perform call actions. So if I open the very same incident, on the right hand side of the top, you get this iOS friendly menu option, which I'm sure everybody's seen in various number of apps. So what you're actually displayed, what you actually see is a list of call actions that are available to this particular call. So in this instance, I can update a call, accept a call, or cancel a call. So as a support desk analyst, the very first thing I want to do is, after opening this incident, is I actually want to accept it because I feel I can have an input on it. So what you have is, and you're then automatically prompted into the accept call form. These are various options that we have currently within the Supportworks client. So I will go ahead and accept this call. So this call has actually been accepted. We want to go back into it and so want to go back into it and make sure, just want to make sure that the call is accepted. If I click on this menu again, I'll get a number of new options now. So a call can now be placed on hold. It can now be resolved. It can now be updated. So for an example, I will open update call. And again, these are very similar options that you get through the Supportworks client. So we try to make it as we try to display all the fields that we feel are important while updating the call. So in this instance, I believe I've spent 5 minutes looking at this request because I've managed to get all the information I need that quickly. So I can update the call and say thank you for your information. And various other options such as action source. Again, if you click on this drop down list, you get various options, iOS friendly. So for this instance, it was via email. Click done. I'm not actually too interested in any other fields within here. I can hit update call and my call is now updated. So again, so far, just quick review. So far, we have accepted the call. We have now updated the call, and we just want to make sure that this information is actually presented in a call diary. And as you can see at the very top here, we'll look at this one for a start. Call accepted by ITSM, and the very call diary entry at the top is thank you for your information, which is what we just posted now with the timestamp, with the correct timestamp. So I wouldn't go through all the call actions, but they're all very similar. Again, you can place a call on hold. When you place a call on hold, you can actually select a date and time. Again, very, very mobile friendly. I wouldn't. So we can cancel this particular request, and just thinking about. So that's generally. There was one other thing I wanted to preview here, which is the search option. So again, very similar to the data form, I can actually search for stuff. So in this instance, I'm interested in anything related to VPN. if I type in VPN, it will show me the 2 requests that have the word VPN within the summary. Also, I can search for a reference number. So if I start typing a reference number, let's say we want to get the reference that we just looked at now, and I type in 6, I get the very request that we looked at earlier. So again, it's it's a very nice feature right there. So that's generally it. And well, as I mentioned before, if there are any interests regarding being able to test this app, we will soon have an announcement regarding a test server that we will set up in our cloud environment, whereby you could download the app on your personal mobile phone and connect to our test server. And if you like it, or if you have any feedback, we can then discuss the next steps with this. The other thing that I was going to mention is that this will require for your installation to be a cloud installation, just for the purpose that it makes it a lot easier for us to configure the sort of settings and that are required for accessing the mobile. And yeah, I guess we can go back to the presentation slide. I mean, again, we covered the couple of areas that users are quite keen on, which is request, data view, and your login and so on. What I didn't show before is that within this within the same menu window, right at the bottom, you have an About Supportworks option, which I showed before we logged in. But after you log in, if you click on it, you can actually see your server details and your login details. So that could be useful for future releases, whereby you're concerned about the app version that you're on, and so on. Yeah. So at this point, I will actually hand you over to Dave Hodgen, who's keen on answering some of your questions.
Thank you, Eston. That's a wonderful presentation. Thank you for that. There's some features in there I just like to highlight in a way, because I thought they were really good to put in. Things like the refresh of the list, the way the app works as a standard sort of mobile app that you're all familiar with. Just pull down and just check you've got your latest pieces of information in that. We have been asked on another occasion about whether the mobile app is going to work in an offline mode, and that's actually not feasible because of the way Supportworks itself works. So if you imagine you're out, you're looking at your phone, you've got information, but someone on the desk updates a call, then you need to do the refresh on your mobile to make sure you've got that. It doesn't have that push feature coming out, but it does mean that you get the latest information that's going on at a particular time. One of the other things which I thought was really good was the search facility, and just the way you can simply type in and it goes straight to the information you need. It doesn't need to be a search on a particular field or information. It goes on the subject of the call. It goes on the call reference. So the various things in there which just make it a lot quicker, a lot more straightforward to put in place and to use. The other thing, which I thought was really good as well, was the options for you to control what's going to be displayed on the app. So it's not something where we're giving you a fixed, this is what you see, this is what you get. You've got control over that. You've got options to go in there and say, well, for sake of argument, organizations, you support one organization, you don't need that particular list there. You may decide to change the content of some of the fields whenever you display customer records, whenever you display the configuration item records. So those kind of features make it a bit more, if you like, unique and personal to your implementation. You've got the relevant information to hand when you're going through and doing that. There are similar things available within the call aspect. Again, we all know that different companies have got slightly different requirements in terms of what's displayed. So having that control in there gives you that option to make it what you need to be for your environment. Going forward a little bit, there are a few other things which we're looking at adding to the system, and these are things which are more sort of for future releases of it. That option to modify the controls in terms of what you want to see, it's currently within the data dictionary, and we'd like to be able to put that in shall we say, a different location and stored in a certain way that whenever you do an upgrade, you get your upgraded configurations with that. So that's one of the things we can pull out. It's currently stored in the data dictionary. It's also behind the scenes stored in another place as well, but we need to put some sort of interface on that so you retain that whenever you do an upgrade. And that really follows a theme which we presented at the user groups last year about the upgradability piece. So we put in these features. You can leverage them, you can take advantage of them, but it also you can take updates that come through, the new features are coming through as well, without having to go back and redo various bits of customization within your system. So that's one of the things which we're looking at further down the line with the mobile app. A few other things we're looking at within potentially from a team lead perspective. So a team lead can go in and view areas of the different groups, the support groups that they support, possibly see things about the number of calls, the call volumes in there, maybe go into customer information and see, well, what sort of history is for that particular customer when they're walking around and chatting to different people. Again, it's just expanding that. It's giving them access to more information. Some of those as well, whether the team lead or not, it can be beneficial for an analyst to be able to see calls in a different queue. If somebody else is managing that, they're progressing that information, then they can give the customer an update on what that is. So those are just tackling some of the questions that have come up. I suppose one other thing just to highlight, in the initial release of this, we've targeted both the iOS and the Android platforms. And main reasons for that, those are fairly predominant in terms of the sorts of devices that are going to be used. There have been questions before about whether we're going to cater for both Windows and BlackBerry. Again, I'm not going to sort of start hedge bets about whether these are predominantly used or not, but they're not quite as high up the list as the Android and iOS. I'm not trying to plug any particular markets here. But the way we've chosen to develop this on the platform, and Essen mentioned something to do about the emulation side and where it's developed on a Mac, there are other aspects to that about the way we're developing it, which mean it's a lot quicker for us to create apps which will run on other operating systems. So a lot of that really depends on, if you like, your feedback, the need from your perspective, the customer base to say, we really need it to operate on Windows, BlackBerry, etc. We can then evaluate that and work out what steps we need to take to put that in place. But the main point is it's not a case of us going back to, if you like, redeveloping on a completely different platform to do that. There are options we have with the platform we have to make that available an awful lot more quickly than would otherwise be the case. So that's one thing which, again, I think is good, value to your information, to the way in which you're operating. So I'm just going to go in. Right, just checking a few bits here if there are other questions come through. One question about the analyst rights within the client. Again, the whole way the structure of the system is working, it's effectively going to the server to get the information. So all the things you do is logging into the full client with your rights will then take through and apply whether you connect to the mobile. So the mobile connects to the server does all the checking, have they got rights, etc., to do different things. If you go into the admin side on the full client and change somebody's rights, they then connect through the phone, it's going to respect those particular rights. So it's not really an additional admin piece for the mobile side of things. It's really just the same things you've got within the full client. So it's not an additional piece for you to go in and configure and change in that perspective. So those things, again, is just making sure there's less of an ownership. There's not, if you like, a specific admin piece to the to the mobile side of things. It's all following the same information you've got before. Just going to extend a little bit on that, and again, it's down to the licensing, where in terms of what the licensing agreement is with the mobile app. Effectively, when you connect on the mobile app, you're connecting as an analyst. So if you mention within the full client, you've either got your named or your concurrent licenses. Exactly the same model applies whenever you're connecting through the mobile app. And again, it's trying to keep it the same. You're basically using the same pool of licenses or name if you've got that in place. It's not adding an extra layer which needs to be administered, confirmed, etc. going through. It's just using exactly the same things you've got within your full client. So there are quite a few things in there which they make it available to you fairly soon. We'll put that up and make sure you've got the download to that. As Esther mentioned, we're getting a system in place where you can connect to. We'll create that as a cloud instance. But you have seen the version requirements there about ITSM 8.1 and 4.1, which were released just earlier this month. So they're available for you at present. We'll create an instance of that, and that will have effectively with development terms we call a bleeding edge, but we'll try to come up with different names. So it'll be something like a Supportworks 8 Future, and that will allow you to connect. You'll see not only things if you're using the mobile app, but we can put previews up there as well to do with the self-service, which is coming out fairly soon as well. We're going into getting the last few features put into that as we speak. So the other things in there, things within the improved analyst experience coming down the line to other pieces which you'll be able to go in and just have a look, raise things with us about that, whether those are features or whether the things you've spotted which you think aren't quite operating as they should be. And again, it's all that sort of feedback. It's all that information which you give us, which was really beneficial to us in terms of the product, the features that go into it as well. So I do appreciate that when it comes through. It's very beneficial, very useful for us to read through that and pick up the information from it. Okay, that's I think covering the various questions. What we'll do is just showing a few things here to do with the ways in which you can give us feedback. Various places you can get in touch with us. There's obviously an entry on the Supportworks, the Hornbill forums for you to go in and click on the different places in there and put in the enhancement requests too. So you've got various routes of getting in touch with us, and as I mentioned earlier, it's really good when you do that. We welcome that. It's wonderful for us to get the feedback. Sometimes it's not nice if it doesn't particularly work, but it's still beneficial for us to give us the chance to improve and things, and that really does give us a drive from the development side of things as well. So improvements, new features are all wonderful stuff, and we really like working on those. So I'll just quickly hand back to Peter, and from myself and from Eston, thank you very much for listening to this.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks everybody for your attendance. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions about the Supportworks mobile app, I encourage you to get in touch with your relationship manager. A recording of this will be made available via the customer forum, courtesy of the Supportworks YouTube channel. So thanks again and goodbye.